It's not even on the recipe. It's not on the recipe. I just wanted to add it on there for fun.
You guys ready?
Yes, sir.
Starting the live stream right now.
Good morning, everybody. Doug Anderson, Food and Beverage Manager here at Seven Summits Lodge with Dino Cruz on our normal Wednesday cooking demonstration. Today, Dino's going to prepare a chicken and lemon risotto for you, and we're excited to be the taste testers as always. So we'll turn it over to the executive chef. Enjoy, everybody. As always, if you have questions, feel free to type it into the box there, and we'll get those answered for you. Take it away, sir.
All right, we are doing a risotto today with chicken. We got all our ingredients together. That way it'll be a little bit more fun for us when we're actually cooking, so that way we're not running around trying to grab all our stuff while our stuff is cooking on the stove. So it's always good to have your mise en place ready, which is all the stuff that you're gonna need in its place here. So we have the olive oil, we have minced garlic, some fresh lemon juice, a little bit of white wine, minced onion, arborio rice. This is pretty much how the recipe says. I did double the sun-dried tomatoes. I went a little heavy. I did a half a cup instead of a quarter cup because I know the recipe says a quarter cup. Kind of went probably just a little under half a cup there. I have some capers. And of course our kosher salt and black pepper grinder. I have a lemon. We're gonna need to zest that lemon, and a chiffonade basil. Okay. And then for utensils, we're gonna need either a wooden spoon or a high temp rubber spatula. And then as well as a grater or a microplane if you have one of these. Okay, all right, and then Parmesan as well for our topping. So I'm gonna put our basil and our Parmesan over here where our plates are waiting. I've had the pan on low here just to kind of get the pan a little hot there. And then I also have chicken stock. And last thing will be the artichokes, which is not on the recipe, but I was kind of putting all this stuff together and I was like, it'd be really good with some artichokes. So it's not necessary. It does add a little bit of depth to it and a little bit more flavor. So if you do have artichokes handy, go ahead and slice them, probably about a half cup, equal to the sun-dried tomatoes. Okay, so we have our pan. We're gonna toast our rice. So we're gonna do arborio rice. So risotto is actually the way that the rice is prepared. Is called risotto. That's the preparation method. So we're gonna have to constantly stir. Can't really walk away from this one. So it is very crucial that, like I said in the beginning, that we have all our mise en place together. That way we're just gonna have fun and really focus all our energy and attention into what we're doing on the stove. Okay. So at this point we have our olive oil blend, our arborio rice, which is Italian long grain rice. And I've also added our minced onions. So we're just gonna kind of toast it a little bit. So this is, I would say this is one of my go-to meals at work. Not necessarily with having to make the risotto, but if we have a little leftover risotto or anything like that, my go-to meal. It's kind of like my version of comfort food the Italian way, I believe. Okay. It is nice to have a rubber spatula as well, as long as it is the high temp one. This one is 350 degrees rated, so you can literally just go in there and really get that all stirred up. So we're just constantly stirring. We're gonna develop a nice light toast look on it. So we don't want to go too high. I'm probably going about medium high. More of that oil in there. Okay. And then at this point, I'm gonna go ahead and add the garlic. So now we're just gonna, it's starting to get that toasty look and also the sound. So when you're cooking, you know, you smell it, you hear it, you see it. This is a good sign that it's starting to toast when it's kind of making like a crackling noise. And also you can see the browning that's developing here. I did mince the onions fairly well, more of a brunoise style of mince, just because I kind of wanted to hopefully melt into the dish. So at this point, we started with our oil, our arborio rice, and our minced onion. Then I introduced the minced garlic, probably about 3-4 minutes into it. So now you can really hear it, like it's pretty dry. It's starting to get dry. That's when we have to start slowly thinking about introducing liquid. Otherwise, it's going to burn on us. But I think we still got a few seconds here to really get that toast action there. So this is definitely a high maintenance dish. It only takes 20 minutes, but it's 20 minutes of actual just standing there and really paying attention to it. Okay, I don't know if you guys can kind of see a little bit of that there. It's trying to get that nice brown toast color. The onions are caramelizing and starting to soften. We're almost ready for our liquid. At this point, our chicken is going to go in. So I have our chicken set aside away from all our stuff here. We don't want to cross-contaminate with raw chicken. Okay. So I'm going to make sure it's on medium-high there. And we're still going to be stirring it the whole time. So there's going to be a little bit of that liquid coming out of our chicken. That's going to get introduced to the pan here. So hopefully it'll cool the pan down a little bit, slow down our toasting. Okay. Then I'm going to introduce our sun-dried tomatoes. Oh, this dish serves, 3 to 6. 3 to 6 people. Or 2 to 4. Really depends how. I'd say no more than 6. No less than 3. All right. So we're actually creating a brown on the bottom of the pan as well. And if you guys have been watching our previous classes, it's really important to get all that stuff off the bottom of the pan and into our dish. We don't want to leave all that flavor in the pan. That's going to go in the sink. You're going to get scrubbed away and washed away. So we are stirring often. For the chicken, I'm going thin slices, very as thin as you can get them, really, about 2 inches long, and fairly thin, as thin as you can get it. Like I said, it works better in dishes like this. It'll tend not to get dried up a little bit. Okay. Now we're going to introduce more liquid. We have our white wine. We're going to do our white wine. Making a beautiful sound here. I love that noise. We got that. This is when we're going to work. Once we introduce the wine, we're deglazing. So this is when we're going to really work that pan and get all that flavor off. Again, we want all that brown stuff on the bottom there in our dish, because that's all flavor. We don't want to leave that out. And I am using an aluminum pan. I do prefer a heavy steel bottom when doing risotto, but as long as you're watching it and constantly paying attention to it, should be good. So risotto process is you're slowly adding liquid stock. It'll absorb it, and then you add some more. So that's the process that we're going to do. On the recipe, I believe it says 3 to 4 cups. So it's always nice to have a little extra, just in case. Some prefer the risotto lightly al dente with kind of a little bite to it. Some prefer it like soft, like normal rice. So that's really your preference, and it doesn't hurt to have a little extra chicken stock in the handy. Okay. So we put all our wine in there, and it's really almost absorbed all the way. So we're going to introduce our chicken stock. Actually, I haven't seasoned it a little bit. Let's season it up. And then fresh ground black pepper. Delish. Also, the sun-dried tomatoes that you guys are going to get if you do decide to make this at home is going to be the one. There's usually a couple of different kinds of sun-dried tomatoes. There's the one that's packaged dry. It would be like in the canned food area or the dry goods area. As you noted, I just put about a cup in there. So we're going to slowly work at that. And then the other packaging of sun-dried tomatoes that I've seen is in oil, and I always like the one in oil. Costco actually has a great one. It's like a little, I would say maybe a pint jar. Sun-dried tomatoes in oil. It should be near the, like by the olive oils and all that stuff. So again, we introduce liquid, which is stock, and then we reduce it till it's almost dry, and we keep adding it. My fan turned on automatically. This is about 8 cups, so I just kind of have a little heavy. I can always use it in the kitchen somehow. So I'm not too worried about being able to use that up. So at this point, all we should have left is the lemon juice, and capers. And obviously the artichokes that I mentioned earlier that was not on the recipe. And then as well as over here, we have our basil and Parmesan ready for garnishing our plates. Usually room temp. Like I always usually have like 5 or 6 boxes of the chicken. I do the bone chicken broth or bone chicken stock. If you look, one will say bone and one will just say chicken stock. I always use the bone one. To me, it has a lot more flavor, and that one's usually room temperature. So room temperature is how you would have it. I believe in traditional risotto, you know, you want the stock hot. But room temperature should be okay. Thank you, Doug. Hopefully that answered our question. You could also get the chicken stock that's, it's called Better Than Bouillon. It's a paste. That one works great as well. Just make sure you're tasting it because you can end up making it a little too heavy on the sodium. So that works as well. It's a paste form in a little jar, and then you just add boiling water to it. It's literally like bouillon, but not cubes. You just spoon it out of there. All right, we're just gonna keep. So this is about. We need about half. We're gonna use about half of this. So once I get to about the halfway mark, we're gonna give it a check here. But right now, we're just keep introducing stock, stirring. Letting it reduce. We should be probably within about 5 to 7 minutes at this point. Really just waiting for the rice to cook. But yeah, when I use stock for soups or really anything at home, I do choose the one that says, even the beef one, it'll say bone broth. You know, if you notice bone-in chicken, if you ever made bone-in chicken and boneless chicken, the difference in like the depth of the flavor. When you make beef stock, you use bones. So really, that's where a lot of flavors. All right, we're a few minutes out. The rice is starting to get plump. It's kind of our sign there. Yeah, it'll definitely feed 6 if you want to do only like a single portion. No one can have seconds. Or you can do 2, and then you can have seconds. At this point, high is what we're looking for. You want it like a high, going at a high temperature here. This looks like a few more minutes, and we can introduce the remaining ingredients that we're going to add here. Make sure you're scraping all the sides as well, because you want all the stuff on the sides to go in there. Pretty much anything that goes in the pan, you want it to come out. I did make this dish for a cooking class before, but if you can only imagine it, I think we had 14 people at the time, so I had to use a really big one and 4 cups of risotto. It took a lot longer. So the more you're going to make, the longer it's going to take. I do prefer my risotto all the way soft, but still separates a little bit. I don't want it like so soft that it's like glue. But I do prefer it soft and tender and not al dente. We are almost there. I'm going to introduce our artichokes and our capers. Just kind of have all our dirty dishes here as well. So I'm going to say really definitely within 5 minutes at this point. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and keep adding our stock here. That should be it. We'll take a look here, but we're going to let this absorb up and we'll see where we're at. At this point, I'm going to add a little bit of our lemon juice, fresh squeezed. You know, I'm going to just add a teaspoon for now. You can always add more. A little bit of our lemon zest. So I like to use the microplane. This one's pretty dull because we use it all the time. But really just making sure you're not grating you're only grating the yellow part. You don't want to grate any of that white part because then it starts getting bitter. So really just the yellow. It adds like a lemon flavor without the pucker face, you know, from being so tart. That's what I love about zest. Taste the lemon, but not quite the tartness. Hope you guys can see how it's looking right now. You know, obviously I made it with twice as much sun-dried tomatoes. So it's really heavy on sun-dried tomatoes, but that's just my preference. It's perfectly fine with the quarter cup instead of a half cup. All right. We're going to give it a quick taste here. See if we have any spoon here. We're just going to check tenderness of the rice, and if we need to add a little bit of seasoning, perhaps. Looks like we're going to use about 5 cups of stock. All right. Pepper. Salt. All right, well, it's almost there. And we'll taste it again and make sure the rice is to our liking and it doesn't need any more salt and pepper. So I can definitely see it feeding 4 people. I don't know about 6 though. So again, when you make this, have some extra chicken stock handy. If you wanted to add some artichokes, you can, but don't add it until the end. And get all your mise en place together so you don't have to run around grabbing your stuff. And you can just stand there and really focus on it and put a lot of effort and love into it. And then it'll taste delicious. All right. You got to keep it under half an hour. So it kind of ran a little bit longer, but it's fine. I don't mind. So I just kind of want to show you guys how it's going to look. Obviously we're not making a soup or a stew. So it kind of needs to be almost dry, but still you can kind of stir it around and the rice separates. So another way to tell as well is if it starts making loud noises, that means it's running out of moisture. So I don't know if you guys can hear that, but it is starting to kind of sizzle a little bit more. This is going to be delicious. Okay, I'm going to use a clean fork again. I'm going to give it a quick try here. Some rice. Right now it's almost there. I'm still going to keep adding a little bit more. Doug's probably like, hey, I'm hungry, man. Is it done yet? Okay. This is, I do prefer it's on the softer side, so I did add a little bit more, but it was actually almost there. All right. Really, that was just 1 cup of arborio rice. And also, even if you turn off the heat, it'll still keep cooking and it'll still keep absorbing. So usually I'll turn it off before it's completely reduced, so the liquid, because it'll just kind of keeps in there and keep absorbing it. So, okay, we're turning it off. And let it sit there. We're gonna mix our cheese. I decided to mix our cheese with it. Usually, you can top it with it. We are mixing our cheese. And you can mix some and then also top as well. Oh man, it's delicious. You kind of want to let it sit there for a few minutes actually. So, but I am going to plate them up just so you guys can see the finishing touch. Who doesn't want that, huh? It's like a comfort food. So I'm going to leave the rest sitting in there. Turned off just for 3 to 5 minutes, just so kind of I can really sit there and absorb the juices. And then we have a little bit of our basil. And there we go. Chicken and lemon risotto. And as you guys can see, our pan is pretty clean on the bottom there. I don't know, I'm really proud of that when you do that, because that means you really maximize your flavor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dino, and thank you, everybody, for joining us today again. This looks fantastic. I love coming on Wednesdays to have whatever Dino's making. So thank you for joining us, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.